Well, I have a bit of a history with Jessie Marion King, the artist, because in the mid-1970s, I forget when, her daughter came to me, Merle Taylor, with tea chests full of wonderful things, original drawings, the books, designs, and it was like a magic lucky dip. And so this is rather important to me because this is a very beautiful drawing. Now, you bought it with this book, so tell me about this.
The poem is about Kilmeny, and it's an epic poem by James Hogg, the Ettrick Shepherd, and Kilmeny was stolen away by the fairies.
So Kilmeny was a beautiful...
Yes, a beautiful young woman. Now, Jessie Marion King was a friend of my grandmother.
Yes.
And from this poem, Jessie Marion King decided to do this very nice drawing and named after my grandmother and gave my grandmother the pet name of Kilmeny at that time. Right. And gave the drawing to my grandmother.
So this must have been about 1905, I imagine, the date of the book.
Yes.
You must have been rather excited by this poem.
Yes.
Very Jessie Marion King poem, then.
Yes.
Yes.
She must have loved it, and then this came afterwards.
And they lived in Glasgow?
Paisley, yes.
In Paisley, because Jessie King lived in Kilmeny, didn't she?
Right, yes.
Yes. What was so extraordinary about Glasgow at this period, at the turn of the century, was that, in a way, it was far ahead of other movements. I mean, first of all, we have Charles Rennie Mackintosh, not only the great architect, but doing beautiful penwork and coloured illustrations. And when Charles Rennie Mackintosh and the McNairs went to Vienna in 1900, they were the toast of Vienna. I mean, Vienna was blown away by this Glasgow style, what we know as the Glasgow style, this wonderful Art Nouveau style. So that was 1900. 1902, there was a grand exhibition in Turin, a very important international exhibition, and Jessie King went there with her designs. She won the gold medal. Young Jessie King won the gold medal for a pen and ink book design on vellum. Now that brings us back to this illustration, which is just a few years later, but this probably is 1905, just 3 years later. It's on vellum, which is what we expect of the finest Jessie Kings. It's translucent in a way. If you really look at this, it's not like paper where the light bounces off the surfaces here. It is almost translucent. And then the other thing, by the time we start looking at this drawing, then we begin to really marvel at Jessie King, because we see this minute penwork. And we have to remember that she couldn't change anything. So when she put these strokes down, they remain these finest strokes. And when we think about the Glasgow style and the style that blew Vienna wide open, we then start looking, first of all, let's look at her signature here.
Yes.
And that wonderful, elegant, elongated lozenge shape. And we look at the flowers, and it reminds us of Frances MacDonald.
Yes.
It's as though it was drawn by a fairy, isn't it?
Yes.
Extraordinary. I would be tempted to put £5,000 on it. But because it is such a beautiful, perfect Art Nouveau Jessie King, I think that £10,000 is much more appropriate.